This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sean Preston.
Welcome, everybody, to the Good Neighbors Podcast. Today, we have a good neighbor with me, and that is the lovely Christine Lang from Lang Wellness Center. How are you, dear?
Thank you. I'm great, Sean. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm really excited for this 12, 13 degrees we're about to have midweek, even though it's going to rain. And just get rid of the snow. I'm done with it. Let's move on. Let's get into some spring.
Agreed. It's time, even though it's only February.
Yeah, no, and maybe a little bit more sun would be quite all right as well.
That would be fantastic.
All right, so we've had an opportunity to sit down together, but for our listeners, they haven't had that opportunity. So maybe let's start off and bring them up to speed on you and your business. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Sure. So Lang Wellness Center is a center where we are really focused on providing quality care in traditional Chinese medicine. We also include massage therapy. So it's not just acupuncture and herbal remedies. We also offer cupping and gua sha. We are gearing up to start our Tai Chi, our spring Tai Chi sessions, our group Tai Chi sessions. And something that's new to Barrie that we are getting ready to roll out that we're really excited for is community acupuncture. And what that does is it's just small group setting. So it decreases the cost. I can appreciate the challenges that a lot of people are experiencing with the economy. So we want to give back and we want to really help our community. So we are gearing up to start community acupuncture in the next month or so. That's phenomenal. And we also offer massage. We also have a massage therapist on staff. And exciting, I've been in some meetings with some people. We are looking to expand. So we're looking to add another allied healthcare professional to our team that complements the services that we already offer.
Nice. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm somebody who maybe isn't overly familiar with all of that, that could, pun intended, be maybe, Chinese to me, or I'm not understanding because I just don't know.
Yep.
What would be like, maybe some symptoms or what people are going through would be a good example to say, hey, that is definitely something that we would be able to help you with.
Sure. The beautiful thing, Sean, I find about Chinese medicine that a lot of people don't know, we've heard about it being used for pain. A lot of people seek acupuncture care for pain relief, or there's a subset that uses it for fertility, infertility and challenges with conceiving. But Chinese medicine really is its own standalone methodology and approach to care. So we can treat every system in the body using Chinese medicine. So we can do dermatology. I do a lot with hormone health. My associate, Paul, he focuses on mental emotional. So if you're struggling with anxiety, depression, PTSD, even addictions, we do an ear protocol for addictions. My focus tends to be more on hormone health, fertility, and orthopedics. But you can seek care for acupuncture for anything. It could be gastrointestinal. It could be dermatology. I have quite a few dermatology patients as well who are struggling with rashes or eczema or psoriasis. So when you're seeking the care of a registered acupuncturist or registered traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, that opens up the full scope of care to us. And it really allows us to provide a quality service for our patients with minimal side effects.
Oh, that's amazing. Especially, there's so many avenues that people can get lost in when they're having pain or when they're having these issues, and it's go to the doctor and then it's, getting prescribed pills and then there's side effects that are associated with that.
And our focus in Chinese medicine is always to get to the root cause of the problem and correct whatever imbalance it is that we see there. So whether it's a hormonal imbalance, it could perhaps even be something like a structural imbalance with muscles. So, to put it in terms that Western listeners can understand, we really look to balance those opposite aspects of the body so that the patient feels well.
Nice. Nice, very nice. When I think of Tai Chi initially, I'm thinking, a bit in there, ninja style. But if somebody didn't know what Tai Chi was, how would you adequately kind of explain that?
Well, it's a very sort of methodical, slow, rhythmic exercise that anyone can do, regardless of your age, physical status. And it really incorporates not just movements of the body, but it also incorporates breathing and mindfulness. So it brings sort of the mind, body, spirit all together and really gets them functioning in a cohesive group.
Could that be a replacement for meditation?
It can be. It can be considered a type of moving meditation, actually.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting into some of that stuff. Getting up in the morning, doing like a 20-minute meditation.
Yeah.
Is that something where, you learn it and then you kind of like learn a subset of moves?
Yes.
And then after that, you can just bring it into your your daily routine?
You got it. You got it. So that's what we find. I will be the first to admit I'm not the greatest Tai Chi practitioner. So my associate Paul and we've got a new member coming on, Jasmine, who's going to be spearheading the Tai Chi in the spring. They have much more experience in Tai Chi, being graduates of our Georgian program here, than I do. I'm 24 years in, Sean. I'll be the first to admit my Tai Chi kind of disappeared fairly quickly. But I do a lot of my own meditation and simple Tai Chi moves to keep my energy and myself balanced.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people would know, and I wouldn't know either if we didn't sit down, but you're also a teacher at the college. You speak
I am also a teacher. Mm-hmm. And since we last spoke, Sean, I'm back on our regulatory board as well for the province of Ontario. So I'm regulating the profession for Ontario. I'm teaching at Georgian, and I am a practitioner as well here in Barrie.
So for those who are listening on the show, you're actually getting an opportunity to have a one-on-one or see a one-on-one like I am with Christine, with a true leader in her field. So very cool. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your journey. You're doing a lot of different things, doing really good things in the world, a leader in your field. How did you get here? Tell us the story.
Well, it's a story that begins with a lot of injuries. and likely that's why one of my areas of focus is orthopedics. I have an undergraduate degree in kinesiology from Waterloo, and always knew that I wanted to go on in school and provide additional treatments to my patients other than just exercises and stretching and strengthening. And I was living in Victoria at the time, out in British Columbia, and needed my 5th knee surgery at the age of 24.
Oh, wow.
And I was very fortunate. My surgeon was Japanese, and he asked if I had ever thought about utilizing or incorporating acupuncture into my care to help slow the arthritic process down and just, reduce the pain. And coming from Ontario back in the late 90s, I had never heard of Chinese medicine or acupuncture. So being in British Columbia and having that proximity to Asia and a larger Asian population really opened my eyes. And within a month, I had moved to Southern California and started my master's in Chinese medicine. So that's what brought me to the medicine. And then just with respect to opening the clinic itself, I've been a practitioner for 24 years. I've seen, throughout Ontario with my various practices throughout Toronto in the GTA and now in Barrie, the thousands of patients that I've helped with just such a wide variety of conditions. It was time to open up a space that's really dedicated to providing a full scope of care for traditional Chinese medicine. And that's how Lang Wellness Center started.
Very cool. Love hearing the journey. Everyone's got a different one and how they get there and stuff. And definitely yours, very, very cool. Okay, so I'm going to assume there might be multiple of these. I'm going to give an example of one because I would think it's kind of straightforward, but in every industry, in every service, there are misconceptions, myths about what goes on. I would imagine most people would think one myth would be, well, acupuncture hurts because you're just sticking in a bunch of different needles. Exactly.
That is one of the biggest myths that I do find. And that's I would say in the last probably 5 years or so, I'm seeing that myth start to dissipate a little bit. But that is one of the largest myths that we do get. And our needles shouldn't hurt. Now, you should feel a little something, because if we look at it, we're trying to send a bit of a signal back to the brain or whatever tissue we're targeting. And if it was painless, we don't have that signal to tell the body what we want it to do. So it's not sharp stabbing type sensation where you're drawing blood or getting an IV, but you should have some sort of sensation. So we're looking for, a heavy, achy type sensation when we are needling. One of the biggest myths that I find currently is, well, does it even work? I hear that constantly. Does it even work? I would hazard to guess that if it didn't work, it would have gone the way of like the Thigh Master or any of those, little gimmicky type things when it comes to healthcare. This has been around for thousands of years. If it didn't work, it wouldn't still be here. They use it with racehorses as well. They've used it for decades with racehorses. The racehorse can't have placebo effect. It either is effective or it's not. The racehorse can either run, it's not lame, or, there's no effect. So when I look at the efficacy of it and the focus, and where large institutions like the National Institutes of Health have put a lot of effort, we have countless thousands of quality research studies that are supporting the incorporation of acupuncture, traditional Chinese medicine approach within our healthcare services.
Yeah. And of course, exposure, education is a very large part. When people get educated on things, they start, the light bulb goes on, right? And it's just over a matter of time, especially where we are now in the digital age. You can find all kinds of misnomers, misinformation. That's one of the reasons why Jeff and I decided to do the podcast, is to get, real people, real business owners on here, professionals and leaders in their field, so that we can educate people that no, it works and it's been around for a really long time. So if you do have a problem, you should call Christine.
Well, I think this is a great, avenue to really educate the public, like you said, not just about what I do, but what a lot of our other businesses here in the local area. We're doing some amazing things in Simcoe County, and I think it's great that you're sharing that.
Beautiful. Well, really, really happy that we're doing this. And so people are starting to know I get excited about this question. Usually you're about halfway. We get to start talking about fun, because I like having fun, all kinds of different levels of fun. And so when you're not working, when you're not doing pins and needles, when you're not saving lives, what are you doing for fun outside of work?
Right now, I'm wrangling dogs. I have a 7-month-old puppy. We were just chatting about the puppy, and thank goodness she's calmed down below me. I have 2 dogs. I have a 7-year-old Dalmatian and a 7-month-old retriever that keep me very busy. I've recently moved up to Oro, and I am by the lake. So, I love Simcoe County for active endeavors. I'm an active person. I love hiking and being in the water and mountain biking. So to be close to the lake, to get into the water when it warms up, to have access to the rail trails, ski hills aren't far. So I am either with my pooches or outside, or hopefully when the weather warms up, getting a garden into my, a vegetable garden into my new place.
You're speaking my language. I lived in Oro for a few years. My parents built a house there, and it was on the west side of Oldbury Road near Line 4. So all like what you're saying, like the trails there are unreal in the fall time, all the leaves, the scenery, it's absolutely a phenomenal place. So
it's phenomenal. I don't think we really appreciate the beauty that we have in this area until you actually get out and you go to other, jurisdictions in Ontario, and you realize there's something pretty special about this area.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel really blessed to have found it, to be honest.
100%. So gardening, Like, are you already a green thumb? Is this something new you're getting into, or?
If I turned my computer around instead of seeing the wall behind me, my house is a bit of a jungle. My clinic, you saw my clinic. My clinic's a bit of a jungle. My outside is becoming a jungle. growing up, I worked in a water gardening center, the largest water gardening center in Canada. I used to work for the City of London, going through university, working in Parks and Rec and planting the flower beds and propagating the plants that we planted out throughout the city. So gardening has been something. And I grew up on a farm. We always had a large vegetable garden at home, and we canned and froze our own food. So my goal in the next year is to try and get back to as much of that as possible.
What's one of your favorite vegetables to grow?
Ooh, there's so many. This year, I'm actually planning. My neighbor next door, they had a vegetable garden. I do have a vegetable garden, and we are planning what we're planting so that we can share our haul over the summer.
Nice.
So she grows amazing lettuce and kale. So I'm thinking of looking to do some more root vegetables, beets and carrots and onions and things like that, so that we have some stuff for the winter, fall and winter as well.
Carrots are definitely my favorite. I turned into a green thumb in 2020, right when the pandemic hit. People had all this extra time.
Yep.
So I was like, first couple of months, I was on vacay, just having a time. I took a power washer to my whole fence and hand stained it. I plucked 739 dandelions by hand out of my
goodness
yard.
And you counted them.
Yeah, I had to. I got to 250 and I'm like, hey, I got to keep going here.
Wow.
It's going to be a story one day. I'm going to tell somebody, right?
I'm surprised you didn't need some acupuncture for back pain after picking that many.
Oh yeah, I had blisters. I all kinds of problems after that. But never again, never have I decided to, just the onesies and twosies, with the little tool you put in the thing, right?
Yeah.
And then my mom came over, and she's been an avid gardener her whole life. So she got me into it.
Nice.
And I think I started with 2 boxes. Now I have 5 plus a bunch of pots. Nice. So I got a little insane with it last year. It took me 45 minutes every morning and evening in the height of the summer to water everything, because I water with the rain barrels.
Yeah. And
I've had blight in my tomatoes for 3 years in a row, and I've lost every harvest, all that work. And wow. I'm ready to give up. I'm giving it one more crack at the can.
Wow.
I just was on Facebook the other day. I follow these, gardening kind of communities and stuff, and try to, because you got to know what meshes with what, so they grow properly and all this stuff, right? Yep. And so I'm going to do raised garden beds this year, where when they're raised, you can do, you do your cardboard base, then you do leaves, and then wood, and then more leaves, and then soil. Yep. And then you're kind of your healthy mix of what you're going to put in there at the very top. And then they said palm coconut for water retention.
Oh, so yep.
I'm going to get rid of all my soil. I'm going to drop a bunch of money on some new stuff. I'm going to start from scratch.
Good for you.
And then, I'm dating a florist, so that's a good thing. She's a green thumb by trade.
Nice.
And make it a little bit easier to try to manage what we got going on there. We have big plans. We want to make passata and salsa and all kinds of stuff.
So good. So good. My sister has made salsa for decades. I come from a green thumb family.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. We definitely have that in common.
Yes.
Okay. So let's switch gears. Let's go to something maybe a little bit more on the serious side of things. Everybody in their life, when they go through life, it's not the straight and narrow. It's, sometimes you don't get to pick and choose, and you have to bank a Larry real hard. And then, then you're going north and then back south. And sometimes life throws things your way. Could you maybe share with our listeners maybe a hardship that or a challenge that has occurred in your life that you rose above, from that? And because of that experience, maybe it made you stronger or maybe made you better for it?
Sure. And I don't have to actually go back too far to come up with one. I don't know if we talked about this when we were chatting last. Back in almost 2 years ago to the day, the Ontario government, without consultation with any stakeholders, attempted to deregulate traditional Chinese medicine. And we've been regulated since 2013. the reason that a health profession is regulated is protection of the public. So you can, I'm sure, appreciate when we're inserting needles into people, if we don't know what we're doing, if we don't have a solid grasp of the underlying anatomy, the angles and depths of the points, there's a couple points that if we put them in on the wrong angle, we can kill you instantly. So it's crucial for the safety of the public and those that are receiving our care that we maintain that regulation and that oversight to ensure the competencies of our practitioners. So it was about 7 to 8 days of very hard work and nonstop work, but we got the Ford government to recognize that they had made an error, and they rescinded that bill that was planning to remove regulation for traditional Chinese medicine in Ontario.
Wow.
So that was, let me back up. I used to sit on our regulatory board from 2013 to 2018. So I had a lot of prior knowledge about regulation and the government. So as a result of that, I had to take a bit of a leadership role with a couple of others to really ensure that the public was still having access to the quality of care that we expect, in Canada. It's unfortunate, Sean, that I just found out last night that the British Columbia government is trying to do the same thing. And they've been regulated for 25 years. They are the oldest jurisdiction in Canada that has been regulated. It's frustrating, to be honest, right now to see some of the changes to regulations, and even with Health Canada trying to put additional restrictions on supplements and herbs. And we're going to lose those unless we get more Canadians to really speak up and try and protect what is an effective approach to care with minimal side effects. So that was probably one of the most challenging things I've had to do. If you know me, I fight for the underdog. If it's directed at me, I'm kind of like, meh, whatever, no big. But when it comes to the public and protection of the public and ensuring that they have access to this medicine that I know is so highly effective and cost effective as well, it took a lot. It took a lot to step up. I don't like to, ruffle waters or, ruffle feathers or, stir the pot too much. But when you have to stand up and say enough is enough, it changes you, I think, as an individual. And it made me, I think, more comfortable standing up and saying, no, not accepting this, than probably prior to this experience. I think it really helped me identify how strong I am.
Silver linings in certain things, you got to be able to take those away. When things don't go the way we want to, sometimes going through the experience, no matter how hard that experience is, when you come out of the other side, it gives you that much of a better perspective, and the brain is a powerful thing. So happy that you got that silver lining. Obviously traumatic going through the experience, it's your life as well. Right.
It's my life, right? It's my life.
And then
Chinese medicine has been my life for a very long time. I'm so dedicated. It's why I moved back to Ontario. I had jobs lined up in California. I chose to come back to Ontario to bring this medicine and make sure that it was accessible to the public of Ontario. I knew that was my role back in 2000 when I moved home.
We're really fortunate that you did. What would be one thing that you wish our listeners knew about your business?
One thing I wish our listeners knew about our business. All acupuncture is not created equal.
Okay.
There are allied healthcare professionals that can perform needling services, whether it's dry needling, there's gun IMS, intramuscular stimulation, physios, chiros, massage therapists. They have that within their scope of practice. So if you're going to your physio, let's say for neck pain, they can do some dry needling into a muscle, but it would be outside of their scope to treat you for cramps or for fertility issues or for mental emotional problems. So all acupuncture is not created equal. We have to have, so we have two different classes of registration here in Ontario. We have a registered acupuncturist that has to have 3 years of training, and a registered traditional Chinese medicine practitioner that can not just needle, but we can prescribe herbs. We have to have 4 years of training in that. From an allied health standpoint, physios, chiros, they can start needling after a weekend's worth of training. So all acupuncture is not created equal would be one of the things I would like our listeners to appreciate.
Well, definitely good to know. And I go back to that same thing, right? It's all that education. You know, when people are well informed, they're able to make better decisions.
For sure.
And so with that being said, really happy to have you share your story with us and share your story with our neighbors. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And we're looking forward to spending some time and seeing you here in the near future.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Sean. I think this is fantastic that you've started this podcast. Like I was mentioning earlier, just to bring light to all the amazing businesses that we have here in Simcoe County. We are so blessed, not just with the natural beauty that we have around us, but with the people that are here. It's a good area to live, and I feel so lucky to be here.
Yeah, I would echo that sentiment as well, too. And being involved in the business community like we are, yep. We have a phenomenal business community. The people that live here, it's a wonderful place. And I think most people know how special it is. And I think most people guard that, especially with the amount of people that are moving from the city up here. We're a bit of a different breed, and we guard that and protect that. So thank you for being a part of that. Thank you for everything that you do, and really happy to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com, or call 705-413-3775.